So I had a little bit of a setback. I made a big mistake. I guess I got wrapped up in feeding Dodger his breakfast and refilling his water, and I sat down to sit with him while Jack was out running around because he was a little bit too focused. Jack had finished his breakfast early, and I had let him out, which I don't normally do, and then Dodger just wasn't interested really in finishing his breakfast, and I guess I didn't realize I hadn't latched that side of the Dodger side of the pen, so he got out, and at one point when I went down to get my breakfast, and I heard all this racket, and yeah, sure enough, they were in a huge fight, and that's just some of the hair. I mean, there's a ton more, and Jack has a pretty good scrape where Dodger ripped out his fur. So I've cleaned and rearranged the pens. The openings are here now instead of over on this side. So yeah, Jack and Dodger got in a pretty big fight this morning. It was my fault really. So I just kind of made a couple mistakes. I just wasn't thinking. Basically, I'm having a hard time telling this. So basically, I got up. Dodger was in this pen, and Jack was in this pen, and I kind of been doing this routine of, feeding them so that they're in these two corners, sort of facing each other as much as possible, and then I wipe them down with a towel. Somebody had recommended this technique of you kind of massage one bunny with a towel and then use that same towel and rub down the other bunny, and then just sort of back and forth a little bit so that they get each other's scent on them a little more. So I did that, and then so I had this cage unlatched, and then I started grooming Jack because he's been shedding a lot in the sink when I pet him, so I realized he still needs some brushing every day. And then he had finished his breakfast early, and Dodger was still eating his, and he slipped out past me, and I just decided, well, I don't want to, try to corral him back and wait for Dodger to finish. And I usually let him out first anyway, so I didn't think it would be a really big deal, I guess. And so usually I either get my breakfast while they're eating and they're both locked in the pen, or I'll wait and get Dodger some hay so he has something to do. And I can just let Jack out and let him run up around here by himself, and he's been okay. It's just that this time I was so distracted with Jack and grooming him and everything, and then Dodger seemed to get a little bit jealous of Jack, that Jack was out, and he just, I don't know, for whatever reason, he wasn't interested in finishing his breakfast at all. And he was just focused on chewing the bars of this divider, which was facing this way, where he could see Jack and hear Jack, and he just wanted to get out, I think. And so I just sat here with him, trying to distract him and whatever. And then I think at some point I left to go get breakfast, just something out of the toaster real quick, and I just I didn't realize I had not relatched this, which I remind myself to do every single time. So I don't know what happened. I'm just kind of kicking myself, and so I was downstairs waiting for my my toaster waffle, and I hear this huge commotion upstairs. It was loud. It just sounded like a tornado or something up here, and I knew pretty immediately, so I came rushing up, and when I came up, um, so I got to about here, and Dodger came running out, and Jack was there about where the mats are, and I yelled at them. Dodger stopped. It took Jack a second. Then he did stop. He'd stopped and turned around, and I closed this door. And then from that point, I just tried to calm down a little bit. It was really hard, though. I mean, there was fur everywhere. I don't know if I put that fur in the bag or not. Here's some of it. There's several balls of this size fur. And so then I just decided, well, I think we're going to go do a sync session and see if we can get them to sort of forget a little bit that, that they hate each other. Whatever. I don't really know what I was thinking. I just thought that might help get them calm down and realize, they don't want to hurt each other. Just to relax together. They can relax together. That's okay. They can relax. Dodger was out in the hall and Jack was in here. Dodger went and hid in a box that I put in the hall for them to play with. So I came in here and I scooped Jack up. He pretty much came into his side of the pen and he was really shook up. So I actually, when I came out, I thought that Dodger was Jack because Dodger didn't look as rough as he usually does. And when I came in here and I saw Jack, and he was really, he had just tufts everywhere. And so he was just really shook up, and he was just kind of, frozen. And then he hopped in his litter box, and then he was frozen. He went to the bathroom, and then he was just frozen there. So usually he puts up a fight when I pick him up, but this time he was just frozen, so I just picked him up, and he was fine. And I carried him to the sink, and he was fine with that. So then I just, Dodger did put up a little bit of fight with me, trying to pick him up. But I kind of felt like I didn't have much of a choice. I didn't want to put them back in the pen together because I thought, the emotions were going to be too high and they were just going to sort of try and continue their fight through the bars. So I kind of had to, corner him a bit. And I managed to get him, and then he settled down, and I put him in the sink. And so I don't think I said in that little snip, but that session was about 45 minutes or so long. And it took a long time for them to settle down, especially Dodger. Dodger was breathing really fast for quite a while. And Jack seemed to relax a lot quicker. He was, after maybe about 10 or 15 minutes, he was asking Dodger to groom him, and Dodger just refused. And so it was a little bit of kind of, a standoff maybe, as to who was going to groom who first. And so yeah. And then I think it was maybe a little while after that, maybe another 10 minutes, I don't know, maybe less, Jack decided to groom Dodger just a little bit. It wasn't very much. I think he just gave him a couple of licks on the face and ears, and then he just, went back to minding his own business and flopping down or whatever, grooming himself. And it was sort of towards maybe 40 minutes in, 35, 40 minutes in, that Dodger, they both relaxed, and they both were flapped in the sink, and I don't remember how it came about exactly, but Dodger did start to groom Jack, like, you know, he has in those other videos. He just, like, all out just was, you know, grooming his face, his ears, his neck, and some of his back, and just going to town on Jack. And then after the clip ended that I put up on Instagram, he kind of maneuvered himself over Jack. So when you see that video, he just kept moving down Jack's back, and then he was trying to get further over on this side of Jack, the side that's closest to the camera when you see that video. And so he kind of was, he had one or two paws, I think, over Jack, and would groom him and then pause and then groom him and then pause for a long time. And then because that's something that Jack does, I let it go on maybe 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5, I'm not sure. But that's something that Jack does, and Dodger dives under him sometimes, you know, just, I don't know, I take it as kind of like he's being submissive. So I was a little bit worried that Jack might not take to Dodger, you know, being on top of him well, that he might take that as a challenge, or, you know, whatever. Dodger trying to be the dominant bunny there. So I let that go on for a few minutes, and then I got kind of uncomfortable. I was watching Jack, and I just kind of couldn't tell how he was feeling. So I did try to get Dodger off of him, and when I was going to lift Dodger off, it seemed like he was wanting to mount Jack. So I couldn't tell if that's what he was doing, or he just lost his footing and was flailing a bit. It was kind of hard to tell. And then he stuck his nose under Jack's face a bit and flopped down. And then, so I just let them rest like that for a bit, and then I took them out of the sink and brought them back here, and I don't think they've really interacted the rest of the day since then. I just let them cool off, and they've just been in their litter boxes eating hay. And then Dodger seemed a bit restless because he hadn't had his morning time out yet. So I went and let him out, and he's been out for a couple hours now. And let's see, what time is it? I think somewhere around noon or 1 o'clock. It's 2:30 now. He went and hid under the bed, which isn't unusual for him. He tends to like to try and sleep under the big king size bed. And I usually don't let him because he forgets to come back here, it seems like, if he gets to come and eat and get his water and go to the bathroom and things like that. It's like he kind of gets a little lost under there or something. He's a little too comfortable. So I usually try to get him out. And I went maybe about 15-20 minutes ago to get him out, now that I kind of took advantage of him being under there to clean and change the pen and rearrange it a bit. I've been wanting to do that for a while. It wasn't anything to do with this fight. I just wanted to try this arrangement out with the doors going this way because Dodger likes to push this divider out, and he likes to push that far side out, and I have to put my cement elephant on the other side of the pen because he's strong enough that he could scoot this pen quite a ways. So I thought this might be better. That way he'll just be nosing at the door or whatever, and the little, I think the little hangy things, I think, usually help. So we'll see how it goes, whether he manages to scoot the pen or not in this arrangement. So anyways, he's been under there, and I went to try and go get him out. I tried a number of different favorite treats that usually work, and he has not wanted to come out. Even with the treats, he's not interested. So I'm not sure if that's just his normal, I'm comfortable under the bed and I just want to nap here and whatever, or it's just he needs a break from Jack. I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm hoping I can get him out at some point, or he'll remember to come back. So Jack's just been hanging out here with me. He helped me clean. He's a good little helper. So he helped me get the old sheet out and put the new sheet in, and so now he's resting. He's tired too. I'm really tired. That was, between the fight and getting them try and get along and clean up the mess and get the pen changed because there was fur just everywhere. It looks like most of the fighting had happened in this far side now, where Jack was originally. So, I'm not sure who went after who, but I'm guessing, the usual. The usual thing to happen is that Jack goes after Dodger. So, Dodger, like yesterday in the pen, Dodger's usually minding his own business. Or in the crate, Dodger's just minding his own business and trying to say, Jack, I don't, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not a threat. And Jack just goes after him. But it looks like most of the fighting happened in Jack's pen, and Jack has the more, I don't want to say serious. I don't think any of his injuries are serious at all. It's just, they're just more. He has a large patch of fur. I probably can't get to it here, but he has a large patch of fur over here that's missing, and there's a little scrape or cut. It's not super bloody. It's just, it's like a little paper cut sort of a thing. And then he has a small little scratch by his eyelid, which it doesn't look bad. I mean, it's like a little nick, and his eye looks fine, and it's not bleeding or anything. So I'm just going to keep an eye on those. I think they'll be okay. I wipe them down a little bit. I'm just going to keep an eye on them. I think they'll be fine, though. And Dodger's missing a couple of patches, but nothing that's bleeding or anything. There's no, skin damage, like, chunks of skin missing or anything. Nobody's got any major cuts or anything. But I'll just keep an eye on them and make sure they're eating and drinking and everything. And I always give them a digestive tablet after their bonding sessions, because they do seem to get, if I don't do it, they seem to have some tiny poops. So from the stress, I think. So I give them a tablet after that. So I gave them a tablet this morning, and I may give them a half a tablet this evening. I don't think I'm going to do another bonding session for today. I think they just need to chill out. And then I think I'm not going to do the crate. I was planning to do it on Sunday, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll push it back till Monday. But the more I thought about it, The session in the sink this morning, that 45-minute session really went well. And, seeing Dodger get comfortable enough to, try to express himself, I think I'm just going to stick with that for a while. I don't know if I'm going to do it every day. I might do it like every other day or every 3 days. Just because in the past when I've tried to do longer sessions, they seem not to tolerate it well. They just get overwhelmed by each other. But I think they're ready to start doing that more often. So I think I'm going to try to do that every 3 days or so. Just as I think we need to start doing longer sessions. Like that session this morning just kind of proved that to me, is that that's what we need to do. And I think the crate is going to have to wait. I think they need to get more comfortable with each other, that they can feel like they can express themselves and figure out their dominance issues a little bit more in the safety of that sink, with Dodger grooming him, and then whatever that behavior was today, I think they need to kind of get some more of that going and get comfortable with each other doing that, because Jack didn't react at all, which was good. So I think they just need to figure it out, and I think the sink is the best place to do that. So this is getting long. I've just been thinking about so much today. And, it's like you think you're going to go in one direction, and then they are like, nope, we're not going to go in that direction. We're going to go in a different direction. So it's just constantly, figuring out what path they're on. So, yeah, I think that's where we're at now. It's just to start building up those sync sessions some more until they can really be in there together and interacting together, not just laying flopped out and napping, but interacting together. I think that's what I need to do, is get them interacting more in the sink so that they can be comfortable with each other, moving around. And that was the other thing that happened today, was that they both were moving around in the sink, and they both seemed comfortable with that, whereas before it was you could tell it was a little bit scary for them. They weren't sure what the other rabbit was doing. So yeah, more interaction, working on extending our time, and then I think whenever that feels comfortable for them and they can really be in there for a good amount of time interacting, then I think we can move on to the crate. I think I kind of jumped the gun there, and I thought the crate would give them more room to do that. But I think at this point, it's a little too much. It's a little too overwhelming. Even though they did pretty well with it, I was just a little bit worried that Dodger might, get frustrated with Jack always nipping him, and at some point just, get fed up and fight back. And, here he didn't have a choice, I don't think. I wasn't there to break it up. I wasn't there to hold Jack back, which is what Dodger trusts me to do. He knows I will do that for him, so he feels comfortable, I think, when I'm there, But I don't think I want to risk it now. I think the sink is where things are safest and need to grow. So, when am I going to update again? I think I will update again maybe Sunday or Monday. When I try another long session. I think we're just going to do short sessions tomorrow. Maybe Sunday. So maybe Monday. Yeah. I don't know. we'll see. We'll see how they're doing. Just kind of try to body read a little bit how they're feeling about each other and whether we can get away with every other day or every day, or not every day, but every 3 days. So I think that's where it's at. And we just gotta figure out what's going on with Dodger. Hopefully he's okay, and it makes me a little bit worried just because he's had a gastric issue earlier this spring, the start of spring when he started shedding, and I don't remember what we were doing. We might have been doing some bonding stuff, and so he had a scare, and it was like 7 hours long, and that was really scary for me. I really thought we were gonna lose him, and I was all ready to go to the ER with him, and I gave him one last dose of what was it? I think the baby gas drops, and I got like maybe 1 or 2 drops in him, and he just started fighting the syringe. So that was really good because he was out of it. He was limp before that, and so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give him this last dose of baby gas drops, and then we're gonna go because he's not gonna make it here. So, but he started fighting like really hard. he was back to his feisty self, and so that was really good to see. And so he was fine from that point on, but it was just really scary for those couple of hours there. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So this makes me a little nervous that he is hiding, but I don't know, maybe it's just normal for him that he just wants to be under. That's his favorite place to nap, so maybe it's okay. So I will update you on that too. I mean, eventually I'll get him out one way or the other. I think he'll come back. He just needs a little help sometimes. But hopefully, he'll be eating. He'll come back eating okay and drinking okay, hopefully. So I'll do an update on that too. I'll probably just, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just update when I update on Sunday or Monday here. So, okay. Oh, Jack. Having a little dream there. It's a nice day with the birds and everything. So, we'll catch you up on Sunday or Monday. So, quick update. I finally had to get a mop and sort of nudge Dodger out from under the bed. I just wanted to make sure he came back and ate, because I tried a couple more treats and he just wasn't interested, so I was getting a little worried. So he came out though willingly, and just a couple nudges of the mop and came back home. He was a little confused, I think, by the pen being rearranged, but things went well with Jack. They just kind of sniffed at each other a little bit. And there's no fighting or growling or trying to nip at each other. I don't think they've tried to groom each other through the bars or anything. They're sniffing each other and kind of being cautious, but seem to be interested in each other. And Jack was just sprawled out a little bit ago into this corner. And then Dodger came over. It was kind of like he was waiting for Dodger to come lie down with him. And then Dodger came over and was grooming himself right where he is now. And then Jack sort of sat up like he is now. And so then they've just kind of been like this with, them both sort of loafed facing each other. And they haven't really been snuggling, but, oh, there he goes. So yeah, I don't know if you could see the little nick on his eye there earlier in the video here. When he was sitting up, he has just that little nick by his eye. I can't tell if it's like an actual cut or just like a tuft of hair that's missing that got pulled. It's not bloody at all or anything. It's just So that's why I think it might just be a tuft of hair, but I'm keeping an eye on it. So just wanted to do a quick update that things look pretty good. I'm hoping that, that sync session this morning after the fight really sort of patch things up a bit, and we can get back to moving on, and hopefully I don't make any more or too many more of those really just dumb mistakes. It just really hurts us. So yep, I'll probably I think I'm leaning more towards updating on Monday, I think, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, bye.